Hello everybody, this is Scarves, and today I'm going to show you some techniques regarding Warcraft 2 in-game mechanics that are very helpful to know, because not everybody knows these things, and I've created this map to show you this. So first of all, there's an arrow pointing down. If you just click downwards, you see that the pathfinding is not very elaborate. So how can you do this efficiently? Because you see you have a narrow path here, but if you just click here, there's some peons left behind that just don't move through. We need to find ways to make pathfinding more efficient, and that is the first thing I'm going to show you: how to move peons through or any other units through narrow chokes. Well, as you can see, if I spam click a little bit, it goes a lot smoother. I will explain why that is. In just a little bit, but first of all, I'll do this and demonstrate it. See, just spamming a little bit solves this issue just fine. And using hotkeys speeds it up and makes this process a lot less painful. See, in this control group 4, there are only 3 peons, but still some peons got stuck, so even small control groups still have issues pathfinding through narrow chokes. So, did you see what I just did there? I have them hotkeyed 1, 2, 3, 4, and by just cycling those control groups, I can move them through a choke like this in a very efficient manner. That is one of the reasons why control groups are very important. They're also a prerequisite for a lot of other techniques. So how are control groups created? This is very basic, but just to be thorough, I will talk about that. You use control and then one of the numbers on your keyboard from 1 to 0. And then you can press just 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, and cycle through these very quickly. You can also press Shift and deselect a couple peons, if that is something you want to do. And you can press Alt and 1, and suddenly you move to that control group with your camera. You can also do this by double tapping the corresponding number. Very important stuff. And as you can see, we have here a couple gold mines. We could put all peons into one gold mine, but this would be inefficient because it's not like in StarCraft where workers just phase through each other and there's no kind of weird glitching that occurs when you unstack workers, for instance. There's just something that is not in the game. and workers impairing each other's movement was actually so detrimental in Brood War that they had to fix it, and they didn't know how to fix it properly, so they just made the workers face through each other. And one simple way of using control groups would be to just say, okay, that's how I command my peons to split up. One group goes here, the other group goes there, the third group goes here. As you can see, you also need to babysit the peons a little bit, because they will move through jokes like this, or they will just get stuck here and start chopping wood and so on. And as you can see, the Great Halls have an impact where the peons spawn out of your gold mine and where they spawn outside your Great Hall when you go back to mining. Okay, I'll just get them out of the gold mine quickly. What am I doing here? I'm spamming 1, 2, 3, 4, and I always click 1, click 2, click 3, click 4, click, just go outside. That is one way how you can easily evacuate workers from a gold mine, or pull them even from a gold mine. You hotkey a worker, and then you can spam that hotkey for said worker and get it out there. That is actually quite important, because it's not always easy. I mean, I'm playing this in single player right now, so getting your hotkeys, getting your peons out of a gold mine is quite easy because the latency isn't so big. But in a BattleNet game, the units don't react as quickly as this, because there is a delay of like 1, 2, and now it would start moving and go there. And sometimes they pop into the gold mine and you just can't get them out, so hotkeying workers inside your gold mine and then clicking them somewhere outside removes them from the gold flow. And that's very good to know, I think. Very important. As you can see, I did this now. You can also use a technique where you spam click and drag like this, and you get them to come outside. Sorry. And what you will commonly have, just like here, you have some peons who are carrying gold and some who haven't. And how do you get them back to mining efficiently? Well, you say you click the gold mine with all of them, but those are going to clog up the gold mine, so these have to return their goods. But if you like control select peons, so control left click, select a random full pack of peons each time. Although it seems to me that always the closest of the 9 are going to be selected, so if you have a big bunch of peons and you want to select those 9 peons, you can just click control here and you have those 9. Just a little addendum, because it's something I just realized, but that's really cool. It's really helpful. If you click somewhere in the middle, it's still not random. If you click here, it still tries to take this grid, and then it just takes the peon on the bottom left, I think. And if that one is not there, it's probably going to select this one. No, it's this one. Okay. If I remove this one, it's going to be this one, so it's counterclockwise. That's good to know. Although I suppose that is very advanced stuff. So but back to the topic at hand, how you get those peons with the gold back to return the goods. Well, as you can read down here, it says here return with goods if you click this, they will go back to the Great Hall and deliver it automatically, and then they should resume going to the gold mine for mining. Okay, but this peon was mining from this gold mine, so it's going to return to this gold mine here. That is something interesting to keep in mind. So one way you can efficiently send them back to mining is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, and that should be it. That's all you need to do. See, it goes very smoothly actually. And there you can see what happens when the peons clog each other up, and some of the peons are stuck here, so you can get them unstuck with G very quickly. That's also important usage for G. Now I will get them out of the mine again. Okay. So clicking a portrait centers it on the peon. That's important later on. I will get to that. I'll just mention it for now. And here you see a couple neutral structures. You can put the grunts on one control group and the ogres on 2. And let's say you find you don't need 2 control groups for those 2 units because they're basically the same unit type, and yeah, there's a speed difference, but you don't really care, and you want both on 1. You can just go shift and select those, and you see they're now selected with the grunts, and then you can control 1, but you still have those ogres on 2, and that might be annoying, especially if you don't have another control group that you want to fill. So you could fill this control group just with the first control group. So you go 1, control 2, and now you have 1 and 2 the same control group. That's one way to go about it. But let's say you want to unhotkey. How do you do this? Well, you click a gold mine and press control 2, and suddenly you cannot select them with 2. I hope you can hear the button mashing, because 2 is not selecting my ogres into grunts. And I just wonder if the same applies to critters. Let's go critter, control 1, and as you can see, just a second. As you can see, you can even use critters to unhotkey your units as long as the target structure is neutral, I think. So now we do it with the dark portal, control 1, and now I can't don't have them in the same control group anymore. Okay, I wonder if it works with enemy buildings too. Let's try. Okay, yeah, it also works with hostile buildings. That is what I wanted to show you here. I can also use those units to show you something else. Let's say I have those in a control group, and now I use Alt 1 or just double tapping 1 to center on the control group, just like we did before here. Alt 3 brings me back to the peons, but Alt 1 brings me here. Why is that? Why does it not center on the control group? Well, it does center, but they're just too wide apart, those units within the control group, that it doesn't that it cannot just center on them. So in Brood War, Alt 1 always centers on the unit that is the first unit on the top left of your control card here. but that is not the case in I think it's not the case in Warcraft 2, because the center would be right here, but this is the first unit in the control card. If we put this peon down there, it would still be the first peon in the control card. And now we go control 3 again, alt 3 again, and and it still doesn't center on this peon. So we can't use the alt technique that is used in Brood War to center directly on your control group. So one way to do this is what you would like to do here is to split the grunts from the ogres, so you can have one control group with the grunts and you have one control group with the ogres. So in Brood War this is pretty easy, because you can just go control left click on the portrait, but or on the command card, but it doesn't work here, because just like we did here with control click selecting all those peons, we could basically do it. We could select multiple kinds of units and select them from the selection of units with a control click. So for Warcraft 2 I recommend the following technique. If you want to split the control group, you go for press 1, click and drag, or even better, 1, select grunt, control select grunts, 2, select the ogre, select all ogres, and now you have them split. You can do this a lot quicker, of course, but just for demonstration purposes it's quite slow, because I also need to explain. Alright, so I've shown you how control groups work and how you can use them in different ways, and how to deselect units. I've mentioned that before. And now I'm going to show you a different technique, which is cloning. What is cloning? Basically, cloning is you send a unit somewhere. Let's say here, you deselect, you send a unit 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 here. And you see, now I've spread all my peons across the map to different locations, and then I can press the hotkey again, and oh, I didn't use those peons, my bad. But if I had them on a hotkey, I could press a hotkey and then say, okay, I'll come back to this location again. Why is this useful? Well, let's demonstrate this with sappers. If you have, let's say, a couple sappers, those two, and we click those on a farm, this sapper dies because you right clicked it on a farm. So that's not something you want to do, right? They will die needlessly, they will hurt your other units. It's just inefficient to do it like this. So you'd always have to select one sapper and click a farm. But if you are not fast enough and that sapper kills that farm, and you have still other sappers attacking that farm, you will lose all of them. So, but you can be quick, of course, but it's not without fail, you know. No, it's quite risky to do it like this. So I do recommend to not click the farms. Instead, you could do something else. You could, let's say, use the demolish hotkey So you go next to the farm. That works a lot better, as you can see. Let's do this again. You can even target the farm if you want with the demolish. It doesn't always do what you tell them to do, though. I'm not sure why it is sometimes, but I think this is probably as efficient as you're going to get. Yeah, sometimes you still have to help a little bit. So you going to have to babysit your sappers a lot, but cloning is surely quite a beneficial mechanic that you can use. See? You still have to pay attention, of course. But I think it's a lot better than any other alternatives. How can you also clone? I didn't research it yet, my bad. I'm going to research all those spells too. I think I might take this this time to talk about how the pathfinding works and about unit formations.
Work complete. Work complete.
1, 2. You see, you have a group of 9 ogres and you click it here. What happens is they will try to stay in formation as much as possible. There's some randomness involved, but in the end they will maintain the original formation. Sometimes it doesn't quite work, but for the most part it works quite well. But see, once it has this formation, it tries to maintain the position it has, and this position is a lot more stable than the other, and I don't think this is going to get ruined anytime soon. And that is exactly the reason why you can move the peons from here down here efficiently when you spam click, because they try to stay in formation, and when they go through a narrow choke they have to break formation, and when they break formation they get stuck. So you get them unstuck and by right clicking, and then they will move through, because this is a new formation now. Each click makes them have a new formation. See? 2 clicks. Gives them a different formation now. And that is exactly what we're using here when we're spam clicking. We're giving this pack of units a different formation every time we click here, and that optimizes pathfinding through narrow chokes. Okay, and now back to cloning. you probably know this spell, Eye of Kilrog. I think it's even a detector and spots submarines. It's pretty cool. But the vision radius is quite small and you can't really see a lot. Let me demonstrate that. Yeah, it's not super good, but okay, it is what it is. But if you use a lot of Eyes of Kilrog, you can scout better. So what can you do? You can go go many Eyes of Kilrog, and then you can clone them. If you do this a lot faster, you can get a lot more scouting done. And that's pretty cool. And then you could also hotkey those Eyes of Kilrog and scout even more efficiently then, because you can bring those Eyes of Kilrog back together on a different place on the map, and they will scout even more different paths they didn't scout before without you having to clone them, because they are already cloned. So it also improves their scouting efficiency later on. Okay. So units tend to stay in formation, they want to stay in formation, and making those many Eyes of Kilrogs wasn't super nice, because they were in a ball, and and sometimes you have problems clicking the ogre under the Eye of Kilrog, because the Eye of Kilrog spawns next to the other ogres, right? So what you can do is you can use this to get them in a line. Well, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think like this, it's much better, because now you can go. And they are already in a line, and you can send them down here, and because they also try to stay in formation, you have a line of them. So that's one way how you can use cloning, and how you can use the pathfinding for splitting up your units and to get them to form a straight line quickly. I hope they're going to find this helpful. So another ogre spell is Bloodlust. One of the most important spells in the game, for sure. And I'm going to show you how to fast lust, how to do it quickly. Because if you go like this, see, sometimes you skip a lust because you're too quick. But you have always this cast delay. You can't just bloodlust your whole army quickly with one ogre mage. There's always a little delay. So what you do is you click an ogre mage, you tap B for bloodlust, you click the ogre, then you click the next ogre, type B on the other ogre, you click the ogre, B, the other ogre, until every ogre is bloodlusted. So that is how you fast lust, and it works because you minimize the cast delay. It's a as you can see, it takes a little bit of practice, and I'm also not getting it perfect every time, but that's how the technique goes. Okay, so and now we can talk about camera hotkeys, I feel like. because they're not only the number keys. You can use the hotkey because you can also use F2, F3, F4, and they are always set to the starting position at the start. But why would you like to save a camera location so you can press a hotkey and go back? Why would you like to do that? Well, for one, you can set them over your bases, F2, F3, F4. I hope you can see that this is quite cool because you can switch between those bases, and let's say you see in the minimap that your left side base is going to be attacked, so you go here with F2, 1A, 2A, and your ogres start coming. Let's say it's this base here. You can't just go F4, 1A, 2A, because they will run into the wood, I think. Okay, no, they go around. They're smart enough, but it's not super efficient pathfinding. Now they run through that choke here. Okay, but this one got stuck, so so you can use camera location hotkeys to improve pathfinding. Let's get those out of the way. See, it's a lot better than having hotkeys and drag selecting them, obviously. Okay. You can make an in-between camera location. You have F2, F4, and you now go Shift F3, and you could say F3, 1A, 2A, and now they go here. And don't get stuck up here. And then you can go, okay, F4, 1A, 2A, and then they run up there. So this can be quite useful, I think. Also, let's say you have peons and they're going to mine. I'm gonna haste a DK. Okay, let's make this F3, this F4, and let's say you have a Zeppelin here and you spot that a DK is going to come and he's going to death and decay here. What can you do is you drag select.
We're being attacked!
See, not even a peon died. Not even a peon died, and we only caught it when it was about here, and then I took my time casting the death and decay. So it's a very efficient way to transfer peons from one gold mine to another. And you can also, of course, say, okay, do it like this. But if you have a different gold mine in reach, it's actually far better to just say, okay, let me send those peons to a different gold mine because they can work at that gold mine. So that's an advantage to just drag selecting them over here, because over there is still a location that can be attacked quite easily, right? You want to transfer them from gold mine to gold mine if you can. Okay. Another thing I need to show you is how to multicast. If you collect all those, select all those Death Knights, you can see that you cannot multicast. It's basically impossible. So how can you cast spells from all Death Knights simultaneously? Well, do you have any idea, Tom? Okay, here's the answer. You select all those Death Knights. You select one of the Death Knights. Well, you select all the Death Knights. You put them on a control group. Let's say 1. You select a Death Knight. You click D on the keyboard for Death and Decay, and now you have only selected that one Death and that one Death Knight, right? How do you select the others? Well, you go Alt 1, and now you have all of them selected, and you can go.
We're being attacked!
See? Pretty cool, huh? You can also just select the Death Knight if you know it's in a control group. D1.
We're being attacked!
So that is how you multicast. But as you can see, it wasn't very flexible when you were trying to pick a location. They all Death and Decay the same spot, which is very mana inefficient. So the wet dream of any Warcraft 2 player would be to have something like StarCraft 2 smart casting, or even Warcraft 3 smart casting, where you just go, okay, D, left click, D, left click, D, left click, D, left click, and you have only one Death Knight each decaying those spaces. So how can you multicast or different locations quickly? Well, you can. There are 2 techniques. You can go 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, and you can say 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one way you can do it, but you needed 4 control groups for that. You needed 4 control groups. That's quite a lot. And it's also a bit hard to micromanage that, in my opinion. So you could also use the multicasting method that I've shown you. So you can multicast and clone those spells at the same time. You can combine these 2 techniques that I've shown you. Okay, you sent them here. And now you've just sent those 1 Death Knight to Death and Decay here, right? And in theory, if we do this a lot of times, we can multicast a lot of different. So we can issue from only one control group a lot of different locations that are supposed to be multicasted. But one step is still missing. So DK, D, Alt 1 here. Now we deselect and do the same again. But you really have to be on point with your you have to create a new control group every time you do it. It's actually quite taxing. It's not easy to do. I have to practice this myself because I haven't been using this at all in my games, if I'm completely honest.
They're destroying our city!
If you want 2 DKs to multicast on a certain location, you can do it like this, right? You can basically freely choose how many DKs should multicast in a certain position. Let's say you want 3 multicasting here, here, and here. you could also combine these even with camera location hotkeys if you really wanted to. You could combine this with camera location hotkeys. Control group 1. Because as you can see, Alt 1 always centers it on those DKs. So if you were to use camera location hotkeys, F2.
We're being attacked!
That's one way you could also use those camera location hotkeys. You can see all those different techniques, they build up and they combine together. And so if you are not using camera location hotkeys, I think you're severely handicapping yourself, because you cannot do certain things. You cannot modify pathfinding. You cannot quickly transfer workers from one gold mine that's being harassed to another gold mine. Cannot optimize pathfinding. Also, let's talk about production, right? Let's say you want to produce a couple units because that's the way you win the game, right? You build units and you smash your opponent, in a nutshell. So what kind of layouts do you like better? This layout or this layout for your barracks? Both of those are just 9 racks. So you can fit them here on one screen, and instead of going click, ogre, click, ogre, click, ogre, you can use hotkeys for that, because that's going to increase your production a lot. Oh. This is a lot quicker. So, but in order to do that, you need to have those barracks on the same location, not like this. Can go like this, yeah. But I bet you this takes a lot longer. That this takes a lot longer than using this setup here.
We're ready, Master.
Let's say our opponent is down there, and we went to rally our forces. What do? Well,
we're ready, Master.
We make here a camera location hotkey, let's say F4. F4 is a standard hotkey for something like this. And you would go, so you could go select them, F4 over there. And if you have a camera location hotkey here, you can even jump back. F4, 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 a left click for attack move. You see? That's one way you can fix the missing rally point issue that you have in Warcraft 2, because you cannot queue units and they will always spawn at the location of your barracks. So not only can you produce harder here, you can also collect them. Collecting them is much more difficult. But if you do it here, let's set this to F3.
We're ready, Master.
Then you reproduce your ogres, and then bam, done. That's all. That's all you need to do. And it's very simple too.
We're ready, Master.
So camera location hotkeys are good for your production facilities, and they're also good for your bases. Or let's say you want to transfer all these peons here. It usually pays off to say, okay, wait, let me make here a camera location hotkey. Let me make here a camera location hotkey, and you go like, and then voila, done. Very smooth. So, am I missing something? I think that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this little introduction to Warcraft 2 mechanics. If I find some other mechanics to train, I think I will make another mechanics training map. In the meantime, you can use this map, mechanics training 1. You can find it in the cartography channel for training this if you want. You can also just practice it in your normal melee games. Okay, I think I've missed something. Yeah, you can also attack move with patrol, basically. So if you just go patrol here, they will actually start patrolling. So if you don't pay attention, they will run back and forth between two locations, and they might be disjointed. But patrol also works like an attack move. But it's not quite as smooth. But what that means is
We're being attacked.
What that means is you could theoretically say, okay, those are on 0, those are on 9, and those are on 8. 0, 8, 9. And you could go 0p, 9p, 8p for attacking. That's one way you could do it. And that would leave you with 1, 2, 3, 4 instead, which we have used for army before, free to use that for, let's say, great halls. 1, 2, 3, and then you can use alt 1, 2, 3, which is basically like using camera location hotkeys, but instead you're just using the numbers. But I personally don't like this setup too much, because you still have to, well, you could do it like this. You could go alt 1, 2, 3 and produce peons like this, and then you can cycle between the gold mines with 1, send to mine, alt 2, send to mine, alt 3, send to mine, 1, 2, 3, send to mine, to mine.
Ready to work.
1, 2, 3. Send to mine. That's way you can do it.
Ready to work.
Of course, you can also double tap. But double tapping, see, takes a lot longer than just going alt.
Ready to work.
And using the portrait to center like this leaves your mouse over here and not at the vicinity of the center, so you can move those peons quickly into the gold mine. That is something to keep in mind. But if you want to be really quick, I think you probably could use Alt and number keys to, well, even Alt, and I think I personally put those great halls on 890, so it can go 0p, 9p, 8p, and then I jump between them by double tapping or using the camera location hotkeys, depending on whether I use my camera location hotkeys from production and rally points. Or if I have them on my base. If I have them on my base, I try to make use of the camera location hotkeys. But I guess you could also use, if you have a big hand, especially. My hands might be a little bit too small for that, but you could use your wrist to press Alt and go 9, 8. Whoop. How did I do that? It's Alt P is pause. Yuck. So Alt P would pause the game. This is actually horrible, just horrible. If you want to say go Alt 9 P, because you have to let go of the Alt button. So I think if you want to use Alt with Great Halls and P on production, it's probably best to go somewhere like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, Alt 1, Alt 2, 3. Because you can even still press Alt and keep it pressed and issue commands like this, and you don't have to let go of it. But since Alt P pauses the game, you probably don't want to use 890p for producing, but you could still afterwards send them to work by Alt 8, Alt 9, Alt 0. That would leave the camera location hotkeys free for your production facilities, for instance. And if you have racks that aren't properly placed, you could go, okay, here is my F2, here is my F3, and F4 is my rally point. Could go oh 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 oh. Let's wait until those overs are done.
We're ready, master. Ready to work.
F4, F4, F4.
We're ready, master. We're ready to work. Ready to work.
On what game speed are we currently? Speed. Okay, it's even faster. So, as you can see, that's how you can use hotkeys to transfer units quickly from A to B, how to produce quickly, how to switch back to your Great Hall again. And I think if you're not using hotkeys in Warcraft 2, you're missing out on a lot of cool ways to macro really hard. Something else you could do is, that's the last thing I'm going to show you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You could want.
We're being attacked.
Yeah, you could use the number key method to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, it's just 8. That's supposed to be 9. It's on hotkey 0. Okay, you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. But that's a bit wasteful, I think. Let me cancel that. Let's try this again. And we could, I mean, it's also a way you can produce quickly. You could also take your hand off your keyboard. I mean, sorry, not off your keyboard, off your mouse, and you can go. You can do it like this. But that leaves you with a little bit of a delay where you don't have your hand on your mouse, which is a little bit iffy. But you could use your second hand to press O if you really wanted to. Using this method is obviously a lot better for barracks that are disjointed like this. Then you just go grab them, send them there. But reducing, let's say if you have 4 barracks that are somewhere like this, and then you have a couple barracks that are like this, it pays off to say, okay, let's put these on F3, and I just use hotkeys for these barracks, so can produce quickly out of those, and then go produce here like this, but so you don't necessarily have to move the camera over here, right? You can just go. I can just go. Okay. 102, 304, 0, and you see they are already producing. So you don't have to go and click each barracks, which is faster. Also, of course, there's another reason why you might use cloning, and that is really the last thing I'm going to tell you. Let's say you have a choke here and there are footmen coming, and you have to block off this entrance really quickly. Preferably this entrance, because this is a 2v1 choke. A 3v2 choke is worse than a 2v1 choke.
We're being attacked!
Okay, let's say you have this choke and they are threatening to break through, and you have to plug it up or you die. So which ogres would you like to take to hold the choke? Would you like to take this ogre, for instance, with the 10 HP? It's probably going to die quickly. So one way to use cloning would be to say, oh, this here, this here. Let me do that again. This was not good. Better than selecting a random ogre to go there, which could very well be a red ogre. See, that was a red ogre, that was a full HP ogre, that was a full HP ogre, that was a red ogre. You could just send them here. Wait. And now they will take the position. You hold T, press T, and they will not be able to break through so easily. And then of course you have to create a new control group with these ogres, so you don't press 1 and remove those from the choke again. But that's one way of creating a choke point like this without accidentally picking injured ogres. That's all for now. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found this insightful. I hope you can take something away for your own practice. I hope I inspired you, and thank you for listening.